Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the latest YouTube video. As you guys know, it's Tuesday night, so I'm giving you guys my top waiver wire ads of the week and some streamable defenses that you can look to put into your lineup for week 12 of the football season. I can't believe Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Christmas is right around the corner. As you can tell, I got my Christmas decorations up a little early. Don't hate on me for breaking that cardinal rule of getting your decorations up before Thanksgiving, but it's my favorite holiday. I'm traveling in the middle of December and I wanted to get my stuff up early so I can enjoy having that Christmas spirit around my place. So, with that being said, though, let's go ahead and get in right into my video. As always, I start with my top waiver wire ads of the week. Just in case we do have any first time listeners, I'm going to give you my top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex ad of the week. And these are players that have to have at least 50% roster availability on Yahoo. So, these are names that should be out there on the market that you can check for. My quarterback out of the week, if you're looking for some help, it's going to be Deshaun Watson. He's available in 52% of the leagues. Now, you can't play him this week. This is kind of a getting ahead of everybody. Some people, as you can tell, have already stashed him for a while. He's only available in 52% of the leagues. Now, he's coming back next week, and they'll be playing the Texans. And with that being said, as far as like some stats, Deshaun, be honest with you, I don't know how he's going to look. He hasn't played football in a year and a half. But when you got that level of talent, who was a top end fantasy quarterback when he was on the field, you have to take the chance, especially if you've been streaming the quarterback position throughout the season. And if he were able to come back right on the field and start looking like the old Deshaun Watson, like he did before he, took that year off last year, then he had the suspension this year. Yeah, you're going to get a top five potential fantasy quarterback to go make that final push for your playoff spots and to potentially push you all the way to the championship. Now, entering this season, there have been only two quarterbacks that have averaged 250 passing yards per game and at least 19 plus rushing yards per game since 2019. That was Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So when he was on the field before, he was giving you a very high floor as a passer, and then he has that rushing ability that increases his floor as well. And then he's that type of quarterback where he can get those ceiling type of games, especially in this Browns offense when he's got Amari Cooper to work with. Donovan Peoples-Jones has looked really good over the last few weeks. David Njoku's back in the lineup, and Kareem Hunt's a very solid receiving back as well. So again, I don't know how he's going to look after a year and a half of not playing live action in the NFL, but you have to take the chance on it if he's available in your league and you're looking for a quarterback to kind of put you over the hump over the back end of the season. My running back out of the week, somehow, some way, Latavius Murray is now a running back that's basically a low. I would probably put him at a low end RB2 at this point, but he's available in 77% of the leagues. Now, if you guys are unaware, the Broncos did release Melvin Gordon yesterday, and then Chase Edmonds is going to be out, I think, for at least 3 weeks. I know it's multiple weeks. I want to say the report was 4 to 6 weeks. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but I know he's out for multiple weeks. So that means Latavius Murray has full control over this backfield. Marlon Mack is there, but I expect with how Latavius has played since he's arrived in Denver that he's going to dominate the majority of the touches out of the backfield. This past weekend, he had 17 rushes for 49 yards. He had 4 receptions for 23 yards on 4 targets, so he touched the ball 21 times. You love that type of volume out of your running backs, especially with that position this year. And he's got a great matchup on Sunday. The Denver Broncos are going against the Carolina Panthers. They're giving up 21 points per game to running backs this year. That is the 5th most in the NFL. So if you're able to get Latavius Murray off your the waivers this week, he's a guy I would go ahead and put into my lineups to play on Sunday. My wide receiver ad of the week, I am going with Treylon Burks. He's available in 80% of the leagues right now. The rookie wide receiver has really come on over the last couple weeks since he's came back from his injury. This past week against those Packers, he had 7 receptions for 111 yards on 8 targets. Now, the last 2 games, he's gotten at least 6+ targets. They are getting him more involved in that passing attack. And what I really like about what Tennessee's doing with him, they're willing to take the deep shots between him and Tannehill down the field. So that allows those explosive plays to happen. And eventually, he's going to break off one of those and get you a big, long touchdown in these games. Now, according to fantasy, he kind of has a relatively tough matchup. They are going against the Bengals this weekend. The Bengals are allowing 19.2 points per game to wide receivers. That is tied for the 9th fewest across the league. But with that type of targets, if he's getting the 7 to 9 target range, I think he can overcome most of that. He's a guy I would still consider playing this week. But he's a guy that definitely should be on rosters, definitely should be on benches. And he's a guy where if he's going to start seeing even the 8+ target range, he's going to move into a guy that you got to consider playing every week, especially when the matchup's right. And I've said this before in my videos in recent weeks. You know, these rookie wide receivers, these rookie running backs, sometimes you just got to be patient with them. And then they really come on the back end of the season. And it looks like Traylon Burks is going to be one of those rookies that could potentially put you over the edge as we go down towards the playoffs. My tight end of the week, guys, I'm just going to give you a name. That's all I can do with the tight end position. It is so weak out there in the market. And when you compare the stats and who's getting targets and whatnot, honestly, it's pretty weak right now. But if there is one thing that stuck out to me was Logan Thomas from this past week. Logan Thomas is available in 94% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had 5 receptions for 65 yards on 6 targets. You know, he had to work his way back from that injury that he suffered last year, and it seems like he's kind of slow rolled his way back in, working his way back, getting acclimated, being back on the field. I think this past weekend was a sign that he's in a positive direction as far as where he's going forward within that Commanders offense. If you guys remember the last couple years, Logan Thomas was actually one of the more safer tight ends you could play on any given week. He might not give you a huge week, but he was going to get those, 4 to 6 receptions, and you would hope he, gets you 50 yards and maybe get you a score and end up being a tight end 1 for the week. Now this weekend they're going against the Atlanta Falcons. They are allowing 7.3 points per game. That's like a middle of the pack, but that's still a relatively high number because it's kind of weird. Only 3 teams are giving up over 10 points per game to tight ends this year. So it's like a lot of teams. I mean, I don't know if the teams are giving up the points to tight ends, or just tight ends just stink in general outside of Travis Kelce and a handful of others in fantasy football. With that being said, though, I just remember Logan Thomas being a safe tight end to play in years past. I feel like now he's as healthy as he's been since he's came back from his injury. I think they're starting getting him more involved in the offense, and if he can continue to see at least, I'd like to see more targets, but if he starts getting at least 6+ targets, maybe he's a safe tight end going forward throughout the rest of the season for you. My flex ad of the week, I am going to go ahead and bring up Samaje Perine. He's available in 92% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had the 11 rushes for 30 yards, 4 receptions for 52 yards, 3 touchdowns on 4 targets. Now, he's a handcuff, right? Joe Mixon got hurt this past weekend. I'm not sure if Joe's going to be able to play this weekend or not, but if you're a Joe Mixon manager, you should be trying to get Samaje Perine on your bench. If you guys remember, I think it was, I forgot who I was talking about a couple weeks ago, but when we get to these playoffs, as we get to the playoffs, the last thing that you want to see, and I've had this happen to me multiple times, is one of your best running backs that you've counted on throughout the season, all of a sudden you win your playoff matchup, but that matchup you won, your running back got hurt and he's not playing in the championship game. Trust me, I've been there before. So say that were to happen to Mixon and he's not available in your championship game. Well, at least you would have Samaje Perine, a guy that is going to at least fill in for him and get that volume of opportunity. Now, if Mixon is ruled out and that would make Samaje Perine the starter this weekend. I will say this: I think he might be a guy you'd leave on your bench at that point. They do have a tough matchup against the Titans. The Titans are only allowing 13.3 points per game to running backs this year. That's the third fewest in across the NFL. But he's still a guy to make sure that you would have on your bench if you're a Joe Mixon manager. So you do have some flexibility if anything were to happen to Joe over this last month of the season. So that is my top waiver wire ads. Again, my quarterback ad of the week, Deshaun Watson. My running back ad of the week, Latavius Murray. My wide receiver ad of the week is going to be Traylon Burks. And my tight end ad of the week is Logan Thomas. And then lastly, my flex ad of the week is going to be Samaje Perine. Moving into the top streamable defenses of week 12. Again, just like the players I just talked about, in case we got any first-time listeners, these defenses, they have to have at least 50% roster availability. So I am giving you guys some defenses that should be out there on the market for you if you have been streaming with me throughout the season. It's slim pickings, guys. It worked out for me last week with the Commanders. I actually got the Commanders, I think, in basically all my leagues last week, and it really worked out, especially after that pick six. The Dolphins against the Texans. The Dolphins are available in 74% of the leagues, and it's going to be the same reason why I say every defense against the Texans, you guys. Texans offense is not that great. Davis Mills is not the quarterback that some people thought he could be. He's prone to be making those mistakes. I don't think their offensive line's that great. So Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Christian Wilkins can really get after the quarterback and then potentially create those turnovers. And you got Javon Holland and Xavier Howard in the back end of the defense that can jump on a ball and maybe get another pick six for you if you play if you played the Commanders last week. So yeah, if the Dolphins are out there, that's the defense I'm trying to grab off the waivers. Another one that'll be good is going to be the Chiefs against the Rams. The Chiefs are available in 53% of the leagues, and man, what a regression for the Rams offense, right? Like, if it was this point last year, I would not even think. No, I wouldn't even think about it. I would just keep on scrolling when I would look at defenses if I saw that defense was playing the Rams offense. Not this year. They're out without Cooper Kupp. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And then Matthew Stafford suffered a concussion this past week. And, if there's any indication off of Sean McVay's words and him having a second concussion within a span of 3 weeks, I'm not no doctor, but I feel like Matthew Stafford's not going to play. And then I think their backup, John Wolford, is dealing with an injury as well. If I remember that report I was reading yesterday from Sean McVay's press conference. So if their backup's hurt and he can't play and Stafford doesn't go, you're talking about Bryce Perkins might be the starting quarterback. So, yeah, I see a lot of sack potential. I see Chris Jones and Frank Clark and the rest of the defensive front getting after whoever the quarterback is. And then I can see that leading into those turnovers as well for you. My number 3 streamable defense. Yes, it's back-to-back weeks. I'm telling people to play those Jets defense. People need to put some respect on the Jets defense. They're available in 54% of the leagues. Now, they are going against the Bears this week. And mainly with this one is we don't know the status of Justin Fields too. As great as the Jets defense has been, if the Bears are forced to play their backup because Justin did suffer a separated shoulder, so his availability is up in air right now. So even if he does play, Justin's going to be less than 100%. And then you got a really good defense. And then what I like about this too is the Bears' offensive line not the greatest, so I can see Quinnen Williams blowing up the pocket inside and getting after either Justin or Trevor Siemian. And if Trevor Siemian is playing this Sunday, then I love the ability that the Jets can not only get the pressure on him and force him to throw the ball, and then hopefully you get that to turn into a turnover or two for you if you play the Jets defense. My number 4 defense of the week, this would be a defense you'd be able to watch on Thanksgiving evening. The Vikings against the Patriots. The Vikings are available in 67% of the leagues. And it's just because that Patriots offense is completely struggling right now. They're not really moving the ball efficiently, and then their center got hurt, and then Isaiah Wynn got hurt as well. David Andrews and Isaiah Wynn are hurt, so their offensive line is banged up. that gives a great opportunity for Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith to get after Mac Jones. And then I always like the fact that the Vikings defense have playmakers on all three levels of the ball. They got Eric Kendricks at the linebacker position. They got Harrison Smith and Patrick Peterson in the back end of the defense. So there's those opportunities for those. Those guys can create turnovers regardless if the defensive front is getting pressure on the quarterback. So it's a good defense, and this is in Minnesota. Now, I know the Minnesota Vikings kind of were a letdown against Cowboys, but sometimes that happens when you come off an emotional type of win that they did over the Bills. I think they're going to bounce back, and with this being in Minnesota, I think that crowd's going to be very loud, and I think they're going to get after Mac Jones and try to they're going to at least be getting sacks, I think, and I think that can potentially lead to the turnovers as well. My number 5 streamable defense, I am going to go with the Colts. Colts are available in 71% of leagues, and this week they are going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple reasons. The Colts do have one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, you guys got to keep in mind, they held the Chiefs and the Eagles to less than 20 points in a game. I don't want to have to go into why my team doesn't have more wins when they held two of the best teams in the league underneath 20 points. We don't have to go into that, guys, but let's just talk about this. The Colts' back end of the defense is really good. They got Stephon Gilmore, they got Isaiah Rodgers, and then as well with the defensive front, that's where I'm looking at. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't really have the best offensive line. So I could see Yannick Ngakoue coming off that edge against Dan Moore and getting into Kenny Pickett's face often. You got Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner in the middle, and then the linebackers, Bobby Okereke and Zaire Franklin have been playing very well as well, too. So with that being said, I think this defense is going to be able to bait the rookie quarterback and Kenny Pickett into mistakes, and I think they're going to be able to jump on some balls and potentially get some points for you if they can find their way to the end zone. So I'm always willing to stream a defense against a rookie quarterback, even if the defense is not that great. Colts defense has been playing really good ball this year. They don't allow a lot of points, and then the Steelers offensive line I think can give our suspect to give up some sacks in this matchup. So with that being said, my top streaming defenses that I think you guys should go pick up if you're looking to stream a defense this week: the Dolphins against the Texans, the Chiefs against the Rams, the Jets against the Bears, the Vikings against the Patriots, and then the Colts against the Steelers. So yeah, this is this week's top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. The next time you guys are going to see me will actually be tomorrow. I know you guys are used to my starts and sits. I'll normally drop that on a Thursday morning, but with Thursday morning being Thanksgiving, and then I do plan on speaking about. I put together my script already, but I think there's like one or two players from the Thanksgiving games I'm going to be talking about in my start sit video. And then I'm lucky enough where my job's going to let us get out early tomorrow. So at some point tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to record my start sit video. And as soon as I get it done, I'm going to go ahead and post it to my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to be ready for when that comes to my YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when any videos in the future are posted to the channel. Also, like the video. If you haven't hit that like button yet. Go tell a friend to check me out. And then as always, if you guys have any questions as far as players to pick up off the waivers, or maybe there's some defenses I talked about that maybe you are considering, you want to hear my opinion on it, get in my comment section. I'm always looking to return any comments that I get. If you follow me on any of my social media platforms, you can look up at Cody Talks NFL. I'm on most social media platforms. You can DM me on those. Then, as always, I always say, if you're a friend, you got my number, shoot me a text. I'll get back to you when I can. With that being said, I'm going to hop off here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoy your evening or morning if you're watching it then. Peace out. Talk to you later.